Good evening. If I could get your cooperation, if you are a non-resident of the town of Hampton, would you please move to this side of the room so that I can make sure that when we vote, we can distinguish. If you're a resident, please move to that side if possible.
It's because you choose to smell. Everybody's going over there.
Once we're settled. Good evening. Good evening. My name is Jim Workman, and I'm your moderator for the Hampton School District SAU 90 annual meeting. I call this meeting to order on February the 4th at 6 o'clock p.m., 6:01 actually. I'd like to open the meeting by having the Pledge of Allegiance led by Nicole Workman. Thank you. I want to thank you all for coming out tonight, for showing an interest in your town and school. I'd like to introduce the people here, starting from my far right, the school board, Frank DeLuca, Jimmy Greta Russell, Pepper Ring, and Les Shepard, who's the chairman this year, and moving to my left, our superintendent, Dr. Costa, Mariah Curtis, and our clerk, Shirley Doheny. I have some housekeeping to do. First, only legal residents of Hampton who are registered to vote can vote. If you need assistance in voting, please ask for it. Please turn off or silence any mobile phones, computers, tablets, pagers, etc. to avoid any potential disruption of the meeting. Basic rules of the meeting are, my job is to preside over the meeting, regulate the business, and make any public declaration of any vote passed. We're here to discuss, explain, or amend the articles before us. After all discussion, I'll move the article to the ballot, either as written or amended. The meeting will then move on to the next article. As moderator, I will not vote nor speak on any articles. I will reserve the right to speak if a ruling I make is challenged and to call any vote. Only one person speaks at a time, and I ask you state your name and address for the record. Please attempt to speak loudly and clearly so as to assist the cable TV crew with providing the best transmission possible. We're being live on YouTube and tape delayed for later rebroadcast on Channel 22. I ask we all get to speak at least once before anyone speaks twice on the same article, and all people will get a chance to speak. There's a microphone in the middle of the floor, and on the floor are X's marked for social distancing purposes, so queue up to my left if there's a queue. A secret ballot will require a signature of 5 legal voters present at this meeting to be presented to me in writing before the vote's taken. I would also like a motion that will allow people who are employed by the Hampton School District to speak and explain an article, even if they are not a town resident. So moved. Moved by Mrs. Russell. Second. Seconded by Mr. Shepard. Anyone wishing to speak on this motion? All in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. I need a motion to dispense with the reading of last year's minutes. Mr. DeLuca, second. Mrs. Russell. Discussion. All in favor? Sorry, I can't do that. Okay, so we move on to the meat of the article. Article number 1, moved by So back to that silence the phones thing. Number 1, shall the school district raise and appropriate as an operating budget, not including appropriations by special warrant articles and other appropriations voted separately, the amount set forth on the budget posted with the warrant or as amended by the vote of the first session, for the purposes set forth therein totaling $24,400,670. Should this article be defeated, the default budget will be $24,249,206. which is the same as last year with certain adjustments required by previous action of the district or by law, or the governing body may hold one special meeting in accordance with RSA 40:13, Roman 10 and Roman 16, to take up the issue of a revised operating budget only. A majority vote is required. It is recommended by the school board 5-0 and recommended by the budget committee 8-0. This has been moved by Mr. Warburton, seconded by Mr. Pluff. Speaking to the budget, Mr. Warburton.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Brian Warburton, 24 Sanborn Road, 40-year resident of Hampton, chairman of the Hampton Municipal Budget Committee the last 2 years. Before I get into our thoughts on the SAU 90 budget, I would be remiss if I didn't thank probably the best committee this town has ever seen. The Hampton Municipal Budget Committee comprises of 9 members, of which every single one of us met for 19 meetings totaling 486 hours since May. So when you hear people talk, what does the budget committee do? We worked hard. Just as we did with the town budget, we did the same with the school. I want to publicly thank, as chairman, my vice chairman, Mike Pluff. Without his advice and counsel, we wouldn't be where we are today. Larry Quinn, retired police officer, probably one of the best this country's ever seen. Steve Henderson, Stephen LeBranch, who's been on the budget committee a long time, Joyce Scapertis, Bob Ladd, who's our village district representative, Regina Barnes, our selectmen's rep, who also did a fine job, and last but certainly not least, a person who I have been on boards with as a selectman and other committees, and was proud to have her again this year be our budget committee representative. That's Virginia Brado Russell. Ladies and gentlemen, SAU 90 is in good hands. We met several times with Dr. Lois Costa, our superintendent of schools, our director of finance, Mariah Curtis. There was not one instance where the budget committee had to ask twice or 3 times for information. I was so impressed with Lois and Mariah and the Hampton School Board, and anything we asked from them, we got immediately. As a matter of fact, they were in communication all the time. The budget committee overwhelmingly, Mr. Moderator, recommended the $24,400,670. The importance to that is the 3 areas we talked about, and if you watch the budget committees for SAU 90 presentations, there were 2 new positions that are put in this year's budget, the 2021-2022. One is a child, in both at center school, a child psychologist and assistant principal. I, like others, had questions. That's what we're here for, to question, to dissect, to diagnose. Dr. Costa and Mariah Curtis were forthcoming, as they always have been, explained, and it made a lot of sense. It's pretty much a wash when the positions, as you see put up in front of you, that are going away this year, and why the need was there. I'm at the age, when I was a kid, I thought of assistant principals as, yup, you went to the assistant principal's office, uh-oh, you're in trouble now. It's more than that. They do teacher reviews. They do other things in school. There's so much, curriculum, all kinds of things. So I want to thank Lois and Mariah for explaining that. The other thing we were so proud of, my longtime friend Mary Borg, I couldn't believe when I saw the budget this year, and I called Lois, I said, it's about time we take that position out of the food service monies and put it into the general fund where it belongs. She's part of the administrative team. So great job of the school board and those doing it. Finally, this budget, I urge everyone to vote in a big way. This school system, not unlike others, are facing tough times with COVID-19, with remote learning, with teachers not knowing or students not knowing any week or a month or 6 months at a time what the next step's going to be. I urge everyone to do this. As I was telling Dr. Costa, when we resume in March on the budget committee, we've got things like donor towns. Mr. Workman remembers that. This could cost this town a lot of money, and we're going to need people with expertise and knowledge across the table to be able to work on these issues and other outstanding issues that SAU 90 may face. I want to congratulate all the staff, the teachers, the custodians, the school board, the SAU 90 administration. Nice job.
Anyone else on Article 1? Seeing none, Article 1 will move to the warrant as presented. Article 2. Shall the school district vote to approve the cost items included in the collective bargaining agreement reached between the Hampton School Board and the Seacoast Educational Association covering a one-year period from July 1, 2021 to June 30, 2022, which calls for the following increases in salaries and benefits at the current staffing levels over those paid in the prior fiscal year, and raise and appropriate the sum of $407,069 for the 21-22 fiscal year, such sum representing the additional costs attributable to the increase in salaries and benefits required by the new agreement over those that would be paid at current staffing levels in accordance with the most recent collective bargaining agreements. Majority vote required. This is recommended by the school board 5-0 and recommended by the municipal budget committee 6-1-1. Moved by. Frank? Okay. Anyone wish to speak on Article 2?
Colleen Poisson, 11 Josephine Drive, Hampton. I'm going to keep this brief. Tonight, I'm speaking in complete support of Article Number 2, the teacher's contract. As a lifetime resident of Hampton, my sister and I have both gone through school systems, and my mom, Kim Warburton, has been teaching here in Hampton for almost 20 years of her 38-year teaching career. 2020 was a challenging year for all in one way or another. Because of this, a lot of people have experienced a level of frustration and stress that they probably never have before. A prime example of this, remote learning. I think unless you're a teacher, know a teacher personally, or have a school-age student, it's hard to really understand the amount of time, effort, and patience that the teaching staff has exemplified over the last year. For those of you who don't have a school-age child or know a teacher personally, let me paint the picture for you. Teachers leave their homes at 6 a.m. in the morning and don't get home until 4 or 5, depending on the day, sometimes later. The days they are remote, they are on their computers even earlier than 6 a.m. and working the entire day straight through. They are troubleshooting technology, all while trying to provide the top-notch education that Hampton is known for giving the children in our town. These teachers are working through their blood, sweat, and tears every single day to make sure that your children are well educated and taken care of, even in the current world we are living in. Let me paint another picture. While a lot of you are used to the yearly raises of the corporate world, these teachers rely on us residents to go out and vote to get them their well-earned raises. If this article doesn't pass, they don't get any additional money. It's that simple. I understand in a year like the one we've had, it's not easy to ask for approving any dollar amount, even if it is a small tax increase. However, what if you didn't buy your Starbucks coffee every day? What if you got takeout one less time a month? That's how small of an impact saying yes to this important article is. If there is ever a year that the teachers deserve this, it's this year. By voting yes, you are giving the teachers and school support staff the ultimate thank you that they deserve more than ever before.
Thank you. Next.
Hi, I'm Wendy Riga. I live at 478 Uniconic, and I'm also the assistant children's librarian across the street here. I rise in support of the Seacoast Educational Association contract. Almost a year ago, Hampton rejected the negotiated SEA contract, and in doing so, we sent our teachers the message that our town didn't value their contribution to our community. 3 days later, a pandemic shut down everything. We then asked our teachers to come up with an entirely new way to teach in a matter of days. We asked them to learn to use new teaching platforms, new communication tools, and learn an entirely new way to engage with their students. And they rose to the occasion. When fall came, they returned to school and have continued to engage and educate our children in a completely new and unexpected environment. They have risen to every challenge we presented to them, and they deserve to be equitably compensated for their dedication. Thank you to all of our teachers for everything you've done and continue to do for our children.
Thank you, Ms. Riga. Next.
Good evening.
I'm Sarah Etcher, 73 Dearborn Ave. I have an 11th grader and a 6th grader who started here at the Academy this year, and I would like to speak in support of the proposed teacher contract. Thank you. In September, Dr. Costa's hybrid plan seemed pretty bold and honestly pushed the limits of my comfort zone a little. But I have to applaud her decisive action because it has offered the children and families of Hampton enormous consistency. And that consistency is one of the very best stress reducers I can think of. Predictability, reliability are such a comfort in this crazy world at this crazy time. And so thank you, Dr. Costa and the board, for your strong leadership. But when it came to making these plans a reality, to truly implementing them and doing the work of teaching and learning, it has been the teachers of SAU 90 who have gone way above and beyond, working harder than they ever have before to provide the best possible quality educational experiences to our kids this year. I can give a few examples based on my own daughter's experience on Team 6 Hampton. First of all, communication has been excellent from day one. We receive frequent email updates on curriculum. They have the family website. They answer emails immediately. We had a meaningful conference about our kid individually, and not to mention how well they communicate with the students themselves. So I really couldn't ask for more. Hannah's teachers have really built community, which has been a challenge, I think. They use these large Zoom calls, team challenges, and fun games. And they've really created a strong sense of team despite all the physical distance. And I think it's a really impressive feat. Team 6 Hampton teachers have also offered both the supports and the challenges that every student needs to find that just right level of difficulty that promotes growth and keeps students working hard. Hannah has reached for the superior option at times and also asked for help when she needed it, and they're there for both. Team 6 Hampton, maybe most importantly, the teachers have really brought the excitement, enthusiasm, and joy to the lessons that remind us that, hey, it's all supposed to be fun after all. Finding the fun in the face of all this hard work and all the challenges can be hard. But these teachers have been there to model positivity for our kids. Lastly, when I asked Hannah this morning, what would you say is one of the very best things about your teachers? She answered, they're always really patient. And wow, not only does this speak to their kindness and their grace, but also to their professionalism. So if you want to thank these professionals for all they've done this year, please vote for their contract. They've earned it and they deserve it.
Thank you, Ms. Archer. Next.
Hi, Gretchen Aviles, 6 Bourne Avenue. My journey with Hampton began when Tim Lannon hired me as a first grade teacher at center school, and then continued when I moved on to Marston with Dr. Costa and Mr. Sadler, where I currently teach 3rd grade. Not knowing much about this town, it was really easy to fall in love with the community. It's a community that takes care of each other, and it genuinely cares about the children of the town. When it was time to purchase our first home, we knew that Hampton was where we wanted to raise our family, so we became Hamptonites almost 6 years ago. We now have 2 children, one who is currently a kindergarten student at center school. As a former kindergarten teacher, I'm well aware of what it takes to teach 5-year-olds, and I'm going to tell you it's not very easy to do it. I'm immensely amazed at what my daughter's teachers are able to accomplish each day with a group of 5-year-olds because she's fully remote. It's, a big group of kids on a screen, and they're 5, and it amazes me every day. She's flourishing academically. Her teachers work endlessly to create meaningful, engaging lessons. And the most important thing is my daughter is happy. Despite the world falling apart around her, she's happy, and her teachers play a huge part in that. All of the teachers at SAU 90 are working tirelessly to create a learning environment, whether it's in person or virtually, that meets the needs of each and every student in our classes. We've adapted, we've created, we've modified, but the most important thing about us is we care. We care about the kids in this town. I'm speaking today not as a teacher, but as a parent. I'm speaking as a Hampton business owner and a resident of this town where my taxes are going to be affected. And I think we owe it to the hardworking professionals to vote yes on their contract, especially after this year. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir?
Hello, Tom Tiberia, 36 Hobbs Road. I used to be able to remember this much information, but ever since I turned the same age as Dave O'Connor, now I have to use notes. There you go, Dave. Every time I meet youngish parents or parents with young children who move to this community, I always feel like I have to tell them a story. It's short. And I say, you know, we moved here from New York City 18 years ago with our then one child. And now, after having 2 children through this system, be prepared to be blown away. Because not only are they going to provide a fantastic education, they care about every single student. And it's obvious. Secondly, as a taxpayer, I appreciate the board's support of this, and even though it wasn't unanimous, the budget committee supported this. And finally, a few more thoughts. The teacher's initial response to an ongoing commitment to deliver a valuable education experience throughout this pandemic cannot be overemphasized. And further, to be able to continue to offer a truly blended curriculum, not easy. And I would argue, if you compare SAU's 90's response to this pandemic to any other school district, we'd outnumber them, we'd blow them away. But if you take that comparison a little further, there's significant salary discrepancies. And this is a problem. Because if we want to continue to attract and retain the quality teachers, we've got to stay competitive. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Tom.
Unexpectedly, I'd like to talk on this warrant article number 2. I work in the school district, and I am not an instructor or an administrator of a student. But I think there's a lot of people at home that don't have children in the school district and don't understand what goes on in our school district. I think one of the most important things for everybody at home that watches national news to realize one very important thing. We have been in school. We have been in school since September. Our kids have been at their desk in front of their teachers this year. We watch the news and everybody says, well, everybody has to get back to school. We have been back in school, and it is because of the cooperation of the administration, the school board, and the instructors. I call them instructors because they're instructing kids, but they're teaching kids as well. I just want people to remember, these folks have stepped up to the plate. They come into our buildings and take on the challenge and look at COVID-19 in the face and say, we will beat this, and our kids will learn, and they will be in their seats learning. I just want people at home to know our kids have been in school. Thank you.
Chief. Kate? Just for the sake of the record, Chief Lassard, address.
Keith Lassard, 100 Timber Swamp Road.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, David O'Connor, Exeter Road. I never speak at these, and I've been coming to them since I've been in town. And I want to thank all the other speakers for speaking out on behalf of this warrant. I want to share my perspective. I work with these people every day. Some of them are here right now tonight, and I have the utmost respect for them. They show the care, the compassion, and the professionalism every single day, whether it was COVID or not, but they truly have risen to the call these last 8 months, and they deserve a contract, and I'll be voting for it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. I'm a guest. I am the Seacoast Education Association Contract Negotiation Chair, though, for Hampton. And I want to thank everybody who got us back to school, and that is the town, the administrators, the parents, the other teachers, the community members. We're really happy to be back in school. We're very grateful to be back in school in such a consistent way, to be physically present with the students. So thank you very much. The other thing I wanted to highlight to you is that we are very cognizant of the things that families here have gone through and the town. And I just wanted to make a note that we cut our asking amount from the town on the warrant article by over $26,000 from last year's ask that we had on the warrant article. So I just wanted to make a note of that, while still trying to be competitive, or at least regain our competitive edge with other towns, because we are falling behind them in our salaries. And so I want to thank everybody for your kind words. I can't tell you what that means to me, and I know to the other teachers and other members at school, they'll feel the same way. So thank you. I'm Emily Moore, 127 Mill Road. I am a Hampton teacher. A teacher's job is challenging on a good day, but throw in a pandemic and it's nearly impossible. But Hampton teachers have made the impossible possible. Our teachers strive to make learning fun, meaningful, engaging, and create a classroom community. Teachers have never worked harder. I work alongside the most caring, dedicated, talented, and compassionate people. I am proud to be a Hampton resident, and I am proud to be a Hampton teacher. Please support our teachers on March 9th. Great teachers make great communities, and we are lucky to be both. Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing no one else, Article 2 will move to the warrant as provided.
Mr. Moderator,
Mr. DeLuca.
I'd like to make a motion, move to restrict reconsideration of Articles 1 and 2.
So moved. Is there a second? Second. Russell? Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Articles 1 and 2 are restricted from reconsideration. Article 3, shall the school district vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $300,000 to continue long-term maintenance, repair, and modernization work to include technical and/or engineering services at Hampton's Marston and Center School buildings and grounds. This article is a continuation of an annual program planned to keep the buildings updated and in good condition, thereby protecting the taxpayers' investment. Projects planned for the 2021 through 2023 are listed below. This will be a non-lapsing appropriation for RSA 32:7, Roman 6, and will not lapse until these projects are completed or June 30, 2023, whichever is earlier. The majority votes required is recommended by the school board 5-0 and recommended by the Municipal Budget Committee 8-0. The projects are Marston School, ADA improvements district-wide, $5,000, and LED lighting upgrades phased, $10,000, for a total of $15,000. And then at the Center School, HVAC IAQ original buildings phased, $275,000, and LED lighting upgrades phased, $10,000 for $285,000, the sum of the two being the $300,000. On chair motion. Ms. Russell, seconded by Mr. DeLuca. Discussion.
Good evening, Teacher Sarge, 100 Timber Swamp Road, Hampton, New Hampshire. I rise in support of this article. Article 3 is a long-term maintenance article. And if you'll just indulge me for a minute, because I'd like to explain the breadth of what we do with the long-term warrant article money. So I'm here to talk about our needs and how we spend our $300,000 in preventative maintenance warrant article. The current warrant article only includes Center and Marston schools. This year, our plan is to use the majority of the $300,000 towards a phased center school HVAC system improvements. This project is an example of deferred maintenance. We first started looking at engineering study in 2006. Due to the COVID-19 health concerns, it has become a priority. These HVAC improvements are only needed in the original 1927 building and the 1959 addition. For the past 20 years, I have consistently put forth $300,000 of preventative maintenance warrant articles. Keep in mind, considering inflation over the years, that's 20 years, this has depreciated, therefore does not have the same buying power as it once did. Today, that $300,000 is the equivalent of $450,000. We've kind of lost $150,000 of buying power over the 20 years. We are always struggling on what to include in the $300,000 warrant article. Or should we change it, increase it of the amount of money? But at the end of the day, it was decided that $300,000 amount is the best and most affordable for our voters. Let me share you some fun facts about both Marston and Center School. Kind of like doing a book report, right? Center School really consists of 3 buildings. The original building, built in 1927, 94 years old. The first edition was in 1959. And that this building is where I went to kindergarten, by the way. And was called the new building what we call the new building. That was constructed in 1999. Center School consists of 53,000 square feet. Now on to Marston. Again, Marston consists of 3 buildings as well. 1958 section, which is 63 years old. The 1973 section, and the new section that was constructed in 1996. That's 25 years old. Marston School consists of 71,000 square feet. The cost to reconstruct these buildings at $200 or $250 per square foot would cost approximately $31 million today. I'm sure this raises some questions and answers some, but I do hope it explains Hampton School District's current needs. And our current needs are to work on the HVAC system, and that stands for indoor air quality. With the COVID-19, the pandemic, as I call the vid, has really impacted our buildings. And one of the most important things is to provide clean air for all of the kids to breathe. The instructors, all the occupants of the building. We were lucky enough through Mariah's hard work, the money that we got from the pandemic and the CARE Act helped us buy air scrubbers that we have deployed throughout these two sections, the original building and the 1950s building. Those air scrubbers run 24/7, and I don't think their quality is built to last the life of the building. This is time to bring the building up to par and to provide a more central and more energy efficient method of providing good indoor air quality. The buildings are safe to go into, but this is a time to follow up on our 2006 initial engineering study and get the work done. Thank you for your continued support of our annual $300,000 maintenance warrant article. I am happy to answer any questions you might have or give anyone a tour of our building. On our website, sau90.org, or, as I like to say, you can look us up in the phone book. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Losard. Mr. Warburton.
Mr. Moderator, Brian Warburton again, 24 Sanborn Road. This town and this school is very lucky to have Keith Lassard being at the helm for over 2 decades. I have to laugh when I look at this article because it has been on the warrant for just so many years. When Sarah Edgar got up to speak tonight, it made me think in the 80s. This article, the concept of this article, was actually started by Mike Edgar and Art Brady when they were on the Hampton School Board. This has been one of the greatest investments in the history of this community, and I applaud the school board and the administrations year after year for putting this through. Something very other interesting on this, and Keith has done a great job, as I have said, but explained. Last year and this year for this warrant article, we had the Marston School and Center School outlined. So people would say, well, the $300,000 was for all 3 schools. Well, we all know why there's only 2 of them on now. We have a brand new, wonderful academy. The discussion at the Budget Committee centered around, is this enough money? And Keith Lassard said, I'd like to continue with this program. It's going to be several years, obviously, with the HVAC issues at the center school especially. But the powerful message that this warrant article states is that how important maintenance is, especially for the large investments that we continuously see year after year. Our schools, as SAU 90, all 3 schools, Winnicott High School, all of them now, for the most part, have been finished to an extent that they're really tremendous facilities. We've got, like Keith said, we got a little bit more work to do at center. This has always passed in a big way, and I hope it continues. I love seeing stuff like this because you protect the investment that we ask our taxpayers every year. I too want to applaud Mariah Curtis and Lois, because if you watch the Budget Committee members, we had some really good discussion. I know Larry Quinn is here tonight as well, and a lot of questions were asked in a great way. But I'll tell you, ladies and gentlemen, you are getting a bang for your buck with Keith Lassard. The guy explains things well. He follows through on things. I'm very impressed. The Budget Committee's impressed. I highly endorse Article 3. And before I go, because we're almost to the last article, how about a round of applause for Greg Lamperis and Keith Lord and all the people who have set up this meeting. What a great technology staff we have here.
Anyone else on Article 3? Seeing none, I'll move to the warrant as presented. Article 4, so the school district vote to raise and appropriate the funds in the amount of $69,542 to provide child benefit services in accordance with RSA 189:49 for students who are residents of the Hampton School District and attend the Sacred Heart School located in Hampton, New Hampshire. This is by petition. Majority vote is required. It is recommended by the school board 5-0 and recommended by the municipal budget committee 8-0. I did not see a petitioner, so.
I'll move it.
Mr. Shepherd, second. Mr. DeLuca. Anyone wishing to speak on this article? Seeing none, it will move to the warrant as presented. That concludes the last article. The second.
Mr. Moderator, excuse me. I'd like to make a motion to restrict reconsiderations of Articles 3 and 4.
Mr. DeLuca moved, second. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. The second session of this meeting will be at the Winnicott High School Dining Hall on 1 Alumni Drive in Hampton, New Hampshire on Tuesday, March the 9th, 2021, to elect the official ballot officers of the school district and vote on the official ballot on warrant articles from the first session. In addition to the articles we just discussed, voting for school district officers consisting of 1 school district moderator for the ensuing 3 years, term expiring in 2024, 1 school district clerk for the ensuing 3 years, term expiring in 2024, 1 school district treasurer for the ensuing 3-year term, term expiring 2024, and 2 school board members for the ensuing 3 years, terms expiring 2024. I did not mention the candidates for the first 3 positions because they are all unopposed. But running for the 2 school district positions are Frank DeLuca, Wendy Riga, Kathleen Terry, and Gerald Zenoy. And then in addition to those positions, again, there'll be these 4 articles that we just discussed. Polls will open at 7 o'clock a.m. and close no later than 8 o'clock p.m. on the 9th. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Ms. Russell, Mr. DeLuca, all in favor? at 1840. Thank you all for coming out.